In the heart of the ancient kingdom of Otaguntan, nestled between rolling green hills and whispering rivers, was a village known more for its spirit than its wealth. Here, life was a tapestry woven with threads of hardship and simple joys. And in this village lived a young woman named Adura. Adura wasn't just any girl. She possessed a kindness that could soothe the fiercest of tempests and a wisdom that belied her years. Her family, though loving, was poor, their livelihood tied to the fickle moods of the land. Every day, Adura would go to the river, her laughter mingling with the songs of the birds as she fetched water, her dreams as vast and clear as the sky above. Meanwhile, in the grand palace that stood as a beacon of power and opulence, lived Prince Adekanli. He was the heir to the throne, a man burdened by the weight of a crown he was yet to wear. His days were filled with lessons on statecraft, sword fighting, and the endless protocols of royalty. Yet, amidst the splendor, his heart felt a strange emptiness. He was surrounded by people, yet felt utterly alone, his every move watched, his every word weighed. The courtiers and nobles paraded their daughters before him, each vying for the coveted position of princess, but their ambitions were as transparent as glass, and their hearts, he felt, were cold. The prince longed for something real, a connection that went beyond titles and treaties. One fateful afternoon, seeking a brief escape from the suffocating confines of the palace, Prince Adekanli disguised himself as a common traveler. He donned simple clothes, hid his royal insignia, and rode his steed towards the outskirts of the kingdom, letting the wind guide him. His journey led him to the very river where Adura was filling her clay pot. As he approached to quench his thirst, he saw her. He was struck not by extravagant beauty, but by the serene light that seemed to emanate from her. She was humming a gentle tune, her movements graceful and unhurried. He dismounted, approaching her cautiously. "Greetings," he said, his voice a little hoarse. "Might I have a drink of water? I have traveled far." Adura turned, her eyes wide with surprise but showing no fear. She smiled, a genuine, warm smile that reached her eyes. "Of course, traveler. The river is for everyone." She skillfully scooped some water into a clean gourd she kept for travelers and offered it to him. As he drank, he watched her. There was an elegance in her poverty, a richness in her spirit that he had never encountered in the gilded halls of his home. They began to talk. The prince, forgetting his royal pretense, spoke of his feeling of being trapped, of the loneliness that clung to him like a shadow. He spoke not as a prince, but as a man named Kunal. Adura listened patiently, her gaze never wavering. She then spoke of her own life not with complaint but with a quiet acceptance and a focus on the beauty she found in small things, the taste of ripe mangoes, the coolness of the morning dew, the love of her family. She saw the world not for what it lacked, but for what it offered. For the first time, Prince Adekanli felt seen, not as a future king, but as a person. This meeting was not their last. Drawn by an invisible force, the prince found himself returning to the river day after day, always in his disguise. He and Adura would talk for hours. He learned of her dreams to start a small school for the village children. She learned of his secret passion for poetry and his desire to see his people truly prosper. With each conversation, the bond between them deepened, evolving from curiosity into a profound friendship, and then, inevitably, into love. He fell in love with her sharp mind, her compassionate heart, and the unwavering strength that shone through her gentle demeanor. She fell in love with the kind, thoughtful man she knew as Kunal, completely unaware of his royal blood. One evening, as the sun painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, the prince knew he could no longer keep his secret. His heart hammered against his ribs. "Adura," he began, his voice heavy with emotion, "there is something I must tell you. I am not who you think I am." He confessed everything: his title, his palace, the world of responsibility that awaited him. Adura listened in stunned silence. The traveler she had fallen for was the prince of the entire kingdom. For a moment, a chasm of doubt opened between them. How could their two worlds possibly connect? But her love was stronger than her doubt. She looked into his eyes and saw not a prince, but the same man she had shared her heart with by the river. "You are Kunal to me," she said softly, her voice firm. "The man I love. Your title does not change that." Relief washed over the prince, so powerful it almost brought him to his knees. He knew then that he had found his true queen. He returned to the palace, his heart set. He announced to his father, the king, and the entire royal court that he had chosen his bride. The announcement was met with shock and outrage. The nobles protested loudly. Marry a poor, unknown village girl? It was unheard of, an insult to their tradition and their status. The king, a stern but wise ruler, was hesitant. He loved his son but was bound by the duties of his throne. The kingdom needs strength, my son. An alliance, he argued. She brings strength, a Deccanly countered, his voice ringing with conviction. Not of armies or gold, but of heart and character. She is wise, she is kind, and she loves our people. She will be a queen of the people, not just of the palace. To prove his point, he invited Adura to the palace. She arrived not in borrowed finery, but in her simple, clean village attire, her head held high. She greeted the king and queen with a respect that was genuine, not rehearsed. During her time at the palace, she was tested. The courtiers laid social traps, quizzed her on obscure etiquette, and scoffed at her simple background. But Adura navigated their treacherous world with grace and intelligence. She spoke to the kitchen staff with the same respect she gave the king. She noticed the needs of the palace servants. When a dispute arose between two powerful lords, she offered a simple, wise perspective that diffused the tension, a solution the seasoned counselors had missed. Slowly but surely, she won them over. Most importantly, she won over the king and queen, who saw in her the very qualities their son had described. They saw a future queen who would rule with compassion and wisdom. The wedding was the grandest the kingdom had ever seen, a true celebration that united the palace and the village. Adura, the village girl, became Princess Adura, but she never forgot where she came from. As princess, and later as queen, she worked alongside a Deccanly. She established schools not just in her village, but across the kingdom. She championed programs for the poor and ensured the voices of the common people were heard in the royal court. Prince Deccanly was a good ruler, but with Adura by his side, he became a great one. Their love story became a legend in Otagunton, a testament to the idea that true royalty isn't about the blood in your veins, but the love in your heart and the strength of your character. It was the story of the village girl who didn't just marry a prince, but who became a queen in her own right, ruling with a grace and wisdom that changed the kingdom forever.